Good afternoon, Village Agents. Today is Monday, February 22nd, 2021. And this week's Mindset Monday is about focusing on your hot list and your warm list. Now, if you've ever been through a Ninja installation, you understand the incredible power of these lists. So let me tell you a quick story about an agent I knew several years ago. She told me she was struggling to find success, and she said that she was calling 3 to 5 people in her network every day. My eyes got huge with surprise because I definitely didn't do that myself, nor did I know of any other agents that did. This agent had been doing this for months, and it clearly was not working. Knowing there must be more to the story than she was telling me, I asked her to walk me through a process and to tell me what her phone calls sounded like. She said, well, first I go down the list on my database, and I just call the next 3 to 5 people on my list each day. That's it. So I asked her what she talked to them about. And this is where it hit me that she was making a horrible mistake. She said, well, I feel like I'm coming across as pushy if I ask them if they need to buy or sell a house. I had a nervous laugh and said with a smile, well, it feels pushy because it is. But she continued, so instead of asking them if they want to buy or sell a house, I asked them if they know of anyone else who wants to buy or sell a house. I sat there, waited for the punchline. She was smiling, and the punchline never came. My anticipation went to sadness, and I said, oh my, I hate to tell you this, but that's actually worse. I tell you this story to let you know that there is a right way and a wrong way to handle building a pipeline. I want to show you the right way of using your hot list and your warm list to genuinely and authentically add value to those in your network and stay in relationship with them. So, what is a hot list and warm list anyway? Well, a hot list, simply put, is a list of buyers or sellers with whom you could execute a purchase agreement today. For sellers, that would be any active listings that you have that are ready to receive offers. And for buyers, it would be any pre-qualified buyers that are ready to write an offer on a house if the right one became available today. Now, most of us do a pretty good job with managing our hot lists already. A warm list, however, is a little more subtle, but equally, if not more, important. Managing your warm list is a key process in predicting and controlling your business by maintaining a full pipeline of prospects who want to buy or sell in the future. A warm list consists of names of buyers or sellers that are usually 90 or more days out from making a decision to seriously start the real estate listing or buying process. Now, one way to have the right mindset with a warm list is to think about filling it with people in your network that you know will likely make a real estate move in the near future, even if they don't know it yet. You might be asking yourself, how can I do that? Am I supposed to be a mind reader? That's the magic of a warm list. The process basically lets you see into the future so that you can be in the right place at the right time when someone needs you to add value to their lives. Take a minute to reflect on a recent transaction you had. What was going on in that client's life that led them to ultimately buying or selling a piece of property and choosing to work with you as their agent? Now, I'd be willing to bet it was a pretty major life event that prompted them to make a move. Maybe it was a marriage, a divorce, a growing family, shrinking family, a job promotion, demotion, a job transfer, an inheritance, an illness, change in mobility, etc. These major events are life changes that shift a person's income or family dynamics, and they are a primary leading indicator to a future housing transition. Moving is hard work. It's a pain in the rear. It's not very often that buyers and sellers just decide to go buy a house on a whim without having a pretty strong reason for doing so. Now, in terms of why people buy, research shows that consumers make a purchase based on 2 primary stimuli: pain and pleasure. Buyers choose to purchase any product or service that helps them move away from pain and move toward pleasure. For example, you might hire a lawn service to save you from irritating your allergies every time you cut the grass. That decision also gives you a few extra hours each week to enjoy time with someone you love. This is a perfect mix of avoiding the pain of weekly sinus congestion while also achieving the added pleasure of spending time with someone you love. Home buyers and sellers are no different. They move away from a house or location that causes them pain, be it too much maintenance, not enough space, no yard for a pet, etc. And they move toward or into a home that provides them more pleasure and ease in their life. Remember, buyers buy their why, not their what. So what makes Warmless magic is that these major life changes are usually predictable if you're looking for them. Now, maybe you saw recently while scrolling through social media that a friend of yours became engaged, or maybe you saw someone post a photo of an ultrasound for a baby they're expecting, or maybe you saw one of your contacts change positions on LinkedIn signaling a promotion, or somebody sent their kid off to college. You get the idea. All of these are examples of major life changes that are about to happen, and all of them have a high likelihood of creating a need for a different type of living space or a different location. Now, the first step is to notice these changes. To do this, you have to stay in touch with your network. Social media is an easy way to look for these changes. The second step is to connect with these people in your network. You can say congratulations or just let them know you were thinking of them. The third step is to stay connected with them and monitor their pain and pleasure through genuine and authentic questions. And just imagine for a second if the agent that I told you about at the beginning of this had taken this approach. What if she reached out to those people in her database to talk about them, to be in a relationship with them, rather than to try to use them to solicit business for herself? My guess, she'd probably still be in this business. Every year, NAR conducts a survey that shows that every American knows about 12 real estate agents. But when it comes time to make a move, these buyers and sellers obviously only work with one of us. So how do they choose one agent out of the average of the 12 possible options? Because buyers and sellers choose to work with an agent for 4 primary reasons. Number 1, they know the agent. 2, they like the agent. 3, they trust the agent. And 4, they are in relationship with the agent. So much of it comes down to you being at the right place at the right time, which is what makes the 4th step the secret sauce. Now, humans are social beings. We all make choices of where to spend our time and and how to spend it connecting with someone. So what drives that choice? Is it driven by convenience and comfort? For a minute, let's assume everybody's COVID safe. And if you had a chance to invite someone over this weekend for dinner at your home, whom would you call? Take a second to write down a list of your most obvious choices. Go ahead. My guess, your list is probably pretty short because it's filtered by those that you know would be convenient to ask, and also by those with whom you're comfortable. We can't spend time with everyone in our network all the time, so we have to make a choice. Now, if you choose to spend time in a relationship with the same few people over and over again, then you're missing out on the potential for being in a relationship with so many others. And moreover, they are missing out on having the honor of being in a relationship with you. You are a genuine and authentic person with plenty to offer to a relationship beyond real estate. So you're not harassing them. You're being a good and caring friend. The difference between a typical agent and an exceptional agent is their ability to step outside of the comfort and convenience box so they can stay in relationship with a much larger number of people in their network. When I suggested agents do this, I often hear the same thing the other agent told me. Well, I don't want to call people and talk to them about real estate because that makes me feel like I'm being salesy. I agree with you. Please don't do that. In fact, the goal is not to talk to them about real estate. It's to be genuine with them in their moment of excitement or grief or joy or sadness. It's about being in relationship, not about soliciting them for business. The business part comes on its own when the time is right. Remember what we talked about before with buyers and sellers. They work with agents whom they know, like, and trust, and with whom they're in a relationship. And it's easy to let this happen because these prospective buyers and sellers are going to be so focused on their future life changes that they usually won't even be thinking about the real estate side of the equation yet. Let them come to that on their own. And if you've invested your time with them genuinely and authentically beforehand, you'll be the obvious choice for them as their realtor. So remember the 3 steps to building your warm list and making it work for you. Step 1, notice these major life changes by staying in touch with your network. Step 2, connect with those in your network that are experiencing these life changes. And step 3, monitor their pain and pleasure through genuine and authentic questions as you stay in touch with them. And when the time is right, they'll realize that you happen to be an expert that's there to help them solve a problem that they have, and you can give them a solution. Larry Kendall, one of the founders of the Ninja Selling Program, told me a great story that described what happens perfectly. Larry was in a Rotary Club that met monthly. A friend of his, we'll call John, lived and worked in Fort Collins, Colorado, where Larry did. Now, Larry was catching up with John at a monthly meeting, and John told Larry, with a ton of excitement, that he had just been offered the job of his dreams. Larry, a real estate agent, responded with excitement and talked to him about the job, what it was, what he'd be doing, etc. And he discovered that this new job was in a completely different city, in Littleton, Colorado, over an hour away from Fort Collins. John was on such a high from getting this job that he'd been after that he hadn't even considered moving. In fact, he said his wife was happy with her job and their kids enjoyed school, all in Fort Collins. So they were just going to stay there, and John would commute from Littleton to Fort Collins there and back every day. Now, Larry knew this commute was going to become a pain point, but obviously he wasn't going to burst John's bubble about that right now. So that day, Larry, the real estate agent, added John to his warm list. Every month, Larry made sure that he connected with John and asked him about the job, how his kids were doing, what he was doing in his spare time, knowing that John didn't have much spare time with 2.5 hours of commuting every day. As the months went by, Larry asked John if he was getting through a ton of audiobooks on his commute. You must be learning a ton, he said. And finally, on month 6, John asked Larry, the real estate agent, about the housing market in Fort Collins where they both lived, specifically John's neighborhood. The commute had become too hard, and his wife and kids were considering moving, just as Larry had predicted. Now you can figure out the rest of the story. Obviously, it turns into a sale. But notice that before deciding to sell their house in Fort Collins and using Larry, it took 6 months of Larry intentionally staying in a relationship with John, asking questions to monitor his pain points and pleasure points. That's why people make a purchase, right? To get more pleasure and reduce their pain. So I'd love for you to think about how you can stay more intentional about adding those in your network onto your warm list when you hear about their big life changes that are coming up. Use this incredible tool and process for building a pipeline in your business that makes it far more predictable and avoids the typical roller coaster cycle that most realtors experience every year. Good luck. As always, let me know how this works for you. And thanks again so much for watching.